So, what are we going to do here? Another episode of Digital Torture, the most fun part actually of CG, doing the renderings of interior spaces, playing with lights, and setting up various environments. We will take a look into how we can texture this whole space and then actually also stage it and then work really with lights to create, for example, kind of like a uniform overcast situation we have like here. Or maybe just an evening rendering with some interior lights turned on. Maybe we would like to have a nice, beautiful morning like this. And how can we actually set up everything, various environments, aka lighting situations, so we can explore those really fast as you see inside the screen. So we will make extensive use of the collections, set the lights up. I will talk a lot about tips and tricks, how to set everything up, and with not much more delay, let's get started. Before I continue, however, the source files, the textures and reference images and the 3D models are all being shared. The link is inside the description of this video. Okay, now let's get really started. Before we get started rendering in Blender, what we would like to do, and this is a general tip literally to all projects, no matter also the software, we would like to create a project folder. Particularly when we work with programs like Blender, which make references to other files, similar to InDesign, it's very good to have all our files together inside one project folder. Like this. Very good. What this then basically allows us later, we have just one folder which we need to move, for example, onto an external hard disk for backup, etc. In Blender, the program can make references to a lot of textures. So when we have the textures on the hard disk, like you see here, we can edit the images and then they will be updated right inside Blender. For demonstration purpose, I keep everything on the desktop. So when I open a folder, I can take a look at it nice and big. Okay, very good. Let's take a look at what's inside these three folders: assets, textures, and sun study. Again, all this is part of the download. The link is inside the description of the video. So in assets, I put in a selection of very well working furniture pieces, which are ideal to illustrate the impact of lighting of an interior space. All these models are part of the free offering from 3D Shaker. So you can go to the website, and if you would like to download the complete libraries, here they are. Then we have one folder, textures. There, as you can see, various set of carpet, wall painting, floor, brick, and some funny looking environments. With these HDRI high dynamic range images, we're going to illuminate actually our environment. They're all from Poly Heaven, which is another very good website to keep in mind for HDRs and actually also for textures. And then last but not least, sun study. This was a quite fun exercise to do as preparation for this lecture. When you want to render something, well, how does it look? How does it have to look? And the easiest way is document it. So early in the morning, I started taking photos, then at 9, then at 11, and at noon. And you can kind of see how actually everything changed. No? And in the morning, nice and dramatic. And then during noon, not as dramatic anymore because, well, the sun now is actually on the opposite side of the room. Okay. Very good. So then let's go into Blender. And then let's go into Blender. Here, as you can see, I have my file open. This is the finished result from the modeling step. And we will start working with the floor, prepare it. That also means we have to put in the hardwood floor, texture it, and then put that quarter round over it. And then we will add lights, furniture, yeah, and start actually illuminating and rendering. Okay, perfect. So I would like life to be a little bit easy for me. So I will turn this off. I will keep this, and also here I turn this off. Actually, the window stuff here too. I can turn the collection off. Now, every time when I go to object and say show and hide, so show hidden objects, nothing else comes. They're permanently hidden for the moment. It makes it very easy to work on this model. So onto this piece, we have to create our wooden floor. And here I have a tileable wood texture. Now the problem we will face is this is just only one segment of a wood floor. If we start tiling it, these elements will, well, stand out. But this is now where we can be a little bit smart. Well, let's add actually a carpet over it and hide these issues. We're distracting the human eye. And for example, if you take a look at this photo, there you can see how random the wood floor is. This is not tileable. We can't recreate, however, something like this very easily. It takes a little bit of work. So we will try with this exercise to get pretty far with the least amount of work. Not because we try to be lazy, but we try to be effective. And this is also a beginner tutorial. Anyway, way too much talking. Let's go to the modeling. So I will, for the moment, actually show my interior and then I hide my floor wall. Very good. Because I need to find this interior outline. So we will start by Shift S, cursor to world origin, and then we add a plane. And then we make sure this is point select. Very good. We can go to the move command. Edit mode. So now we can move these points. Very good. We are in edge select. Move this up, hold control and snap. Hold control, snap to this point. Select this edge, hold control, snap. You see, easy peasy. Here, right click, subdivide, 2 cuts. Where is this cut? There is it. E and Y, and then hold control, click, so E for extrude, and then I move and each time hold control to snap it. Okay, so we can keep this part in there, very good. There's our wooden floor. Yeah, not really. This is a paper model. This is a common mistake I see in a lot of interior beginner work. They make the floor, if tile, wood floor, flat. Everything has thicknesses, and this might be a tiny detail, but in the end, the sum of the details we put in really make the realism of a rendering. We will try to be semi-fast, so we simply give this quickly a thickness, solidify, other direction, 1/4 inch of and a 1/4 inch material thickness. I press N to verify this is all correct. Scale is all 2:1. Very good. Yeah, beautiful. If we now zoom in, and there we can see there's a little bit of a thickness. Maybe, let's say, 1/2 inch. Okay, that's maybe easier to see. Beautiful. Now, the next step would actually be if I want to be 100% accurate. So here's my baseboard. And I turn this off, and you see the baseboard and the wood floor that collide. Currently, they intersect. So I simply move this one back and snap this to the inner edge of my baseboard. Now, this is a tiny detail that I do simply maybe because I would like to be physically accurate. You can, if you want, skip this part because Normally, there's also a tiny gap between the baseboard and the wood floor because the material will expand and shrink. So now this actually truly really sits in it. And this gap, however, we need to cover. Since we're actually at the modeling, let's finish this. So how do we quickly build a small detail that goes around? Shift A, plane. Now I move this one up, move this over. I will zoom to my piece here. Very good. And then move this one down, hold Control, snap, bring this over, hold Control, snap, and there we are. Beautiful. Now this plane sits right on the 3D modeled ground, as you can see. Edit mode. Then actually this time we will go into point select, X and delete. This one go over. I will turn on here automatically snap so I don't have to all the time hold Control. It's actually this way so much easier. So I just press E and extrude. You have to be careful. Like here, there's, for example, now point to snap to. So in this case here, I move this one up and down and snap height-wise to that point there. Now here, Shift D, it will actually snap to this corner point. I will zoom in there, and there we are. Okay. E to this corner point, select these two, and then move down there. Actually, these widgets are really super helpful to do this work. Okay, this was a tick too low. Okay, yeah, beautiful. Now, let's turn this off again. Press A to select everything. E for extrude. Then we press the Z key for up and just click. And then here we type in 0.5 inches. Or if you want to make a big piece, 1 inch. Okay. Then we need to give this a thickness. Here, 1 inch. Even opposite side. Now we need to make sure everything goes to correct direction. It does not. Now there you can see this does not. We can press A to select everything. And here you see the face orientation is flipped. And then we can press spacebar and we can type in normal. Let me see, do we actually find normal? I thought actually I might see this here already. Easy, calculate outside, there. Shift N. Oh, interesting, it doesn't really do this for all. Okay, no problem. So this one here is flipped. So I can move my cursor to here, press L, L for select everything that's linked. And then spacebar, type in flip normals, there. Now everything, as you can see. Whoop, sorry, that was a quick movement. This grows to the inside, this grows to the inside. Beautiful. Okay, then we go into object mode and we will bake the Solidify modifier. And we select our baseboard, which I already baked. Why do we bake this? Well, this has actually now the following advantage. We can go into edit mode, basically actually with 2 objects. This is really nice. In SketchUp, you cannot really model in 2 groups. Here you can model in many groups. Edit, edge select, click, shift click. Oh, look, I can select these edges. Correct. Shift, alt click, hold shift and alt and click. I select all these edges. And then here in this menu for weight, I give this a level of weight, meaning I painted actually this edge. So with this edge actually painted, interestingly, this didn't get painted in my case. What I can do now is when I go into bevel command, I go into object mode. You see the rounding is kind of terrible. And now we say round this by 1/2 an inch, 1 segment, and go only along the weight. So all these edges we painted. What happened? There, okay, very good. Oh, wah, wah. I have to give this a bevel modifier too. Silly me. Perfect. So when I select both modifiers and I, with the Alt command, click into here and then type in 0.25 inches, you see I can adjust the value of each modifier. If I select one object, it only does one modifier. If I select both objects, it still only selects, well, modifies the last modifier. That's kind of like a semantic they built in. The last object is always the selected one. If you want to have multiples, like here, then you hold the Alt key. It's also the same for all these values. So Alt click, 0.25. There. Yeah, nice. Okay, so now actually we have modeled everything for the ground, and we can take a look at, so how do we texture this part? The wooden planks, which I measured in my space, they have a width of 2.5 inches. Okay. How long this one is, we don't know yet. So we select this object, right click, split view horizontal. Very good, thank you. Then we go to here, we turn this on. So we just see the material, click new, can give this a name, wood floor, so it makes sense. Click on the space color, click on image texture, click on open, and then we navigate to where do we have this texture. There it is, open. Oh, look at that. There we have now the piece. Okay, so how do we rotate and how do we do the scaling? This is what we're going to do in here. This is actually one of these parts where you can really say in SketchUp, it's great and they never changed it. The changing a position and scaling of a texture in SketchUp literally is genius. I don't understand why nobody else does it that way. No other program in the computer graphics industry, from Maya to Cinema 4D, whatever, does it that way. They all do it the way how I'm going to show you it now. So it's not that it's just in Blender this way. That's just the industry. Fact is also the process in SketchUp is also very limited, works great on cubes, not on anything else. Anyway, let's stay on track. We will switch this to UV editor. And then here we would like to open this particular texture there. Okay, and I zoom out and I'm in edit mode and I press A. There's a rectangle and two dots. So we can see that there's something wrong happening. Go here and unwrap. Oh, look at this. What does unwrap mean? You see that this is a geometry that reflects this part. These points, think about the pattern of a cardboard box. If the cardboard box is put together, it's 3D, and then when we cut open it along the seams and unfold it, it's a pattern that's flat. We did the same with this unwrap. Now what we can do here is actually very interesting. If I press R and rotate it, oh, look at this. And this is actually pretty much the same way how SketchUp, for example, works. Okay, good. I rotate it this way. There. Now when I move this one left and right, up and down, you see how we are sliding it. Pretty. Now this piece I will bring and line up to this corner there. We have actually some snapping capabilities. Corner, yep, there we are. Thank you. Okay, so now this geometry is in the UV editor scaled to cover the whole size of the image, which means this whole image is stretched over the whole floor, which gives us the illusion of massively big planks, way too big. So we need to scale this one down. And I go into object mode, Shift A, new plane, and this plane I type in 2.5 inches. Very good. And where is this thing? There we are. Oh, it's tiny. Let's scale this along the y-axis. So we have a reference. This is how big actually a plank will be. So we're slightly off. Here, I'm bringing this to here. Doesn't matter where. It only needs to be close. And I zoom in a little bit. Very good. So the next step is actually we will go back into edit mode so we can continue working on the UV editor. I will select this point, Shift S, cursor to selected, and then turn on 2D cursor. When I press A to select everything, and I scale now from the 3D cursor. Oh, and you see what happens when I scale. No, I'm starting to tile this image. You see 1, 2 times, and then it tiles down there automatically. So this is actually very similar to the way how actually SketchUp works. It's just a different tool, but the mechanics is the same. Or other way said, this is the way how this works. SketchUp just has a different interface. Okay, yeah. And there we also have actually this matched. Beautiful. Here's a little bit of an matching issue. Yeah. Oh, how do we fix this? So why do we have this? You see here, this is actually the edge of the image, and then this piece is there. So maybe what might make more sense is G and Z. I bring this one over. G and Y, G for grab, G and X. And you see why I'm trying to line this one up there. Okay, so this is good. Beautiful. And then here, if I want to be careful, G and Y, I simply bring this one down there. Okay. To make life actually a tick easier, I could also simply have selected everything lined up with this corner. To be honest, this would have been more logical there. Because think about a person that actually has to tile this floor. They will start here and just go through it. They won't really build this, and then I strip this piece in. So cutting the planks in one corner and letting it grow this way makes more sense. Hence, that's the way how we did this here. Okay, so the wood material is done, and we can clearly see the problem. Tileable, terrible things. We need to see if we can get away with this by maybe putting a carpet over it, or maybe, as terrible as it is, we adjust the scale of the wood floor. We are very precise here with the scale, but maybe in the rendering we can get away with a little bit of trickery. Okay, to the next part. Now, one technique to cover up or hide this area is, well, cover it up by putting something over it, a carpet. Let's go add a plane. There we are. This plane should be actually X 63 inches and Y 90 inches. Okay. Then G, rotate it 90 degrees, bring it to here. It's under the wooden floor. Okay, so let's move this one up. We can actually snap to a face. Move it down, hold control. There it snaps on the face. There you can see some render artifacts. Very, very logical. Everybody has it, every program, because the two surfaces really are in each other, not on each other. Carpet is also like the wood surface, not flat. So let's give this a really, really tiny material, maybe 5 millimeters to the other direction. Okay. Carpets are logically also not that super flat. But for this exercise, we try to do it rather simplistic, and this is going to be fine. Okay. When we would pay really more attention to the carpet and its design, then we could select a method to model this more folded with the subdivision surface modifier and add fibers. But if this is something that in rendering is only showing up on the ground somewhere, not really the focus, that would be wasted energy then. So this will actually be fine. Very good. So let's make a material. New carpet. Then also here, let's open an image. There we are. Open textures. Yeah, so there's actually the photo. I'm standing on a side stand photographing this carpet. Very common or quick hack technique to digitize something quickly. When a client has a particular piece they really would like to have inside the space. For example, like the carpet. And I then simply crop this image and I try to shoot down directly from the top so I don't have too much distortions. And I also put the carpet where it's evenly illuminated. I could have gone into Photoshop and just undistorted this image. I can do the same actually in Blender directly in the UV editor. So saves me a step and I can do it right in the app. So we just open this image. Very good. There we are. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Then now we can see, whoa, interesting perspective illusion. Let's go into edit mode. Here now we would like to open the carpet and go to here, zoom in a little bit more. And now what we will do is actually the UV editor is not the 3D geometry. It's more like a pattern. So we can press G and Y and move this one up. Y simply because this is a two-dimensional coordinate system. It has X and Y. Here, these 2 points, I select G and Y, move this one down. You see now how left and right this carpet was trimmed. Then also we can actually turn on via T, you show the toolbar. We can also go to this and you can see this, so I don't say all the time press G. I move actually these points in. And there, see how cool that actually is. Flop. Yeah, we want to make sure that it's not showing part of the fibers. So we will lose a little bit of the carpet. That's okay. This might be, now what I'm doing right now, this might be a detail honestly in the rendering. The client might not really pay attention to or even see. We know it, they don't. And this is actually not good here. So here indeed, we need to bring this a tick over. Yeah, so both points. Yeah, okay. Very good. Let's go into object mode. Let's move this one down. Let's rotate around and yeah, it's actually not too bad. Yeah. So now there's actually our flat carpet. Very good. When we zoom into the sides, this looks kind of hilarious. Again, this is totally wrong and it feels more like Minecraft right now. We want to give this a little bit of realism. Okay, let's give this a bevel modifier. How big is this piece? 0.25 of an inch. Okay, so that means 0.25 of an inch divided by 2. Okay, and then here maybe few roundings, not too much. So there you see it's a little bit round, and then can do a flat smoothing if we want. Shades smooth. Okay, very good. This might make the edges look a tick better. Beautiful. Okay, so since we are working on the floor, not the carpet, there's one piece left maybe to do. That's actually the piece of artwork. A few hours later, let's continue. So let's take a look at this image and this image. What is really interesting here to point out is the side detail. Because as you can see, the painting, or well, the canvas is wrapped over it. Well, it's kind of like how you wrap a canvas when you have an oil painting. And this is a tiny, very informative detail actually to do, and also one that is super easy. Plus, it's another interesting example to showcase how UV unwrapping actually works and why we should do it. So this texture, this is the one we will use because it has the colors corrected, will run not only over the front face, but some of the sides will be, or actually some of the edges will be the texture for the sides. Okay, so let's go to Blender. We will add a new cube. And there we are. And since this will go to here, we will define the x-axis being the depth, 2 inches. Then y is the width, 40 inches, and z, 60 inches is the height. Now, because this has a scale factor, object, apply scale. Very good. Then we can position this somewhere there. To make the snap easy onto the wall, I will quickly show the interior wall, move this one up. I have actually face snapping turned on. Hold Control, and there it snaps onto the face. No? Beautiful. Okay, cool. Then this can be turned off. When I now go into edit mode, this backface X and delete. Then this is now the interesting part. I turn into wireframe, edge select, and I selected this edge. Shift click this, and this edge. And now what I will do is I will go to edge and say mark seam. So what does seam actually mean? This term is borrowed from fashion design, where we have seams where we stitch patterns together into a new piece. Here we mark a seam, kind of like doing the reverse. Along here we would like to take a virtual scissor, cut it open, and unfold the piece. Okay. Then let's create a material. Painting. Let's open here the image texture. We will add, there it is. Cool. And then let's go to this and yeah, interesting. Okay, now this doesn't really match correctly yet. Here in the UV editor, let's go to display this, and then we press A to select everything, and there's our painting. Yeah, so this is the original unwrapping, which is not correct. So in this view, now we will press unwrap freshly. And there you see now how actually this is unwrapped. Pretty cool, no? Okay. And it's actually pretty accurate too, in terms of like this bottom part is the bottom part. Yeah. Here is this, so left is left. Very good. Now when we zoom in, let's take a look. Yeah, this really flows over it. Pretty awesome, no? Yeah, I think so too. So, whoops. To explain this one more time, what these seams basically did, it allowed the software to take this front face and then take this side face and unwrap it, unfold it like a cardboard box. Again, we unwrap. And you see here there are these sides. Cool. Okay, very good. And you see this was actually pretty easy to do. In case this has a different shape, then we can rotate it. If we can also, if we want to maximize the amount of pixels here, I can move this one up now. So you see how we capture more of the painting. All the points have to be on this painting so it doesn't tile. Now this means actually we turn a little bit of the front of the painting into the side. In our case, this actually works really well because nothing is kind of like noticeably lost. Also, we actually just only add this piece as a mental note for the client. So the client could see, hey, this is my piece of artwork. Pretty cool. Now I can see everything more in context. To compare, let's actually take a look how this would work on the same geometry we have in SketchUp. So we will make a new texture. And there it is. It's actually really nice how we can type in the size of this image. This is really another genius part of how well this is all thought out. By the way, this is actually something we can also find in Blender. It's just a little bit more hidden. And then we can drag this one onto that face. Yeah, that's good. Let's go to here and let's go to there. And yeah, I mean, this looks close, but we see, oh, it's not. This is the end, this is there. And here, yeah, that doesn't really work at all. So what's going on this edge? Right click, texture, position. This has to be rotated. Zip. There. Okay. Yeah, that is better. But now how do we make this flow into there? So same thing. Here we have to make this actually a little bit bigger. I mean, one of the cheesiest ways would have been to take this material and flip it vertically, and so that from this edge it grows down. Unfortunately, we can't really flip it. We can only rotate it. So that functionality I don't find anywhere. So what we have to do instead is we will select the top face, right click, texture position, and now we can move this a little bit away, and then we scale the whole thing a little bit bigger in the hope that at one point, yeah, see here, this is good, but on the left side, not really. Here, we could get away with it, but it's kind of crude. Okay. Let's go to here, add the texture there. So you see here we have to do the same thing. And you start actually noticing something. While doing a quick material for a floor works really good if you want to do something that's a little bit more challenging. Well, actually, it's not even challenging. It's just basic stuff. What I'm trying to do here, SketchUp crashes. I'm not pointing this out to flame SketchUp. For what SketchUp is intended, to quickly sketch up an idea, it is good. But sometimes people say SketchUp is very easy to learn, and that is problematic because if you don't have much to learn, something is easy. But in comparison to other programs, Blender and Maya, Cinema 4D, 3D Max, they're all equally difficult to learn, but not difficult, there's just more to learn. So that's what I want to point out, just to be fair. Cool. Okay. So fortunately, in this case, this is such a tiny detail, we might be able to get away. Now, if you see this from further away, but if you get closer, this is something that would irritate me. Okay. Very good. I just wanted to show this in terms of comparison. So back to Blender, we can right click and join this area. We unwrapped all the needed parts. We're pretty good. Now we can continue finishing everything, and then we will work with the lighting. This object, let's call this carpet. It's a car with a pet, by the way. Painting. And what's this? Oh, here we call you half round or chamfered actually. And oh, there's actually our wood floor. There. Nice. Very good. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. Then maybe we drag this down a little bit, and these elements I will put into a collection. Zip, all together, and I call this house or room, for example. And I will do actually the same here too. So I have actually in this basically now the collection that has all the geometry for describing the space in it. So then we have a collection layer for the lights, a collection layer for the furniture collection. Okay, good. So here we can turn these things on. Okay, interior. Yeah, very good. Nice. So this is actually cleaned up a little bit. Let's give actually our outside wall the brick material it so desperately wants. So here's the object, then material, click new. I'll drag this up a little bit. We will call this brick. Oh, there. Ziegelstein. That's German for brickstone. Base color, we click on the yellow dot and then select image, open and navigate to where we have the brick wall texture. There we are. Don't really see anything. Well, there's something going on. So one problem first to point out here, you see we have holes modeled. Here's no hole, but actually in reality, this whole thing is just a flat sheet. There is no volume. So there are no faces we can texture right now, but there's a little shortcut we can do for the moment to do a pre-visualization. So instead of using flat basically means we use UV unwrapping. We turn this to box. Box means, well, a box has a front, a back, a top, bottom, left, and right. From each side, the material is being projected onto the surface. We don't really see much of a projection because here for vector, there we have to click on the blue dot and then we say use the texture coordinate of this object. And there we are. By the way, what we did there right now is the same like Shift A, adding the texture coordinate and then connect this. Cool. Now, is actually the size correct? We do not know. How big is a brick? For example, quick Google. PhD Dr. Google always helps. 3 point whatever. This is for the width. This is for the height, 7. So maybe 3.54 for the height. That's good to memorize. So 3 inches, 5.5 an inch. Okay, so let's make a cube somewhere. Z 3.5 inches and Y 7.5 inches. Yeah. Okay, now we move this onto it. Actually, not too shabby. Now, who knows really if the texture is that correct, but we see height-wise, this texture is too small. And with texture, I mean, is the image of these bricks, is it really correct? Let's take a quick peek. Yeah, so they're a little bit wider. And we can see that there's a little bit of a stretching maybe happening. Okay, good. So an easy fix now, what we can do is we, in this case here, quickly zip, and right click. I still need this actually. I should have done this there. We will add here in between our mapping there because of the mapping. Now I can go to scale and say 1.2 and actually makes it smaller. 0.8 and actually gets bigger. Let's see. Yeah, actually it looks starts to look pretty good. So when we then also zoom around, yeah, we will see here and there some issues. You see this kind of like makes no sense. But this is just because we let the software decide how to fold or map the texture over the wall for a quick visualization while we design and maybe explore different materials. This technique is actually correct. If we would want to perfect this, then we would select the mesh object. We would apply all the modifiers, and then we could go into UV edit mode and unwrap everything, like we did with the painting. For our purpose here, I will leave it actually as this where we are, because we might only in certain areas see this, if at all actually. Later we will have a rendering from here, so just maybe a piece we might see. Very good. Okay, very nice. Let's activate all the Windows elements, and there we are. Oh, look at that. We don't even see actually the wall from here. Wah, wah. Ah, okay, but maybe a little bit there. Cool. This could still be useful. Perfect. So we are ready to place camera and then put in the lights. Very good. So let's set up our environment. When trying to work with lights, we have to move them around inside the space. While we also render, we want to have multiple views to look at. So this might be, simply speaking, a side view. This is very good. Here, right click and split vertical. This might just be my front view and wireframe mode. And here, this can be my 3D view. We can adjust the camera lens to, I have this actually set to 50 if you want to change it. Now press N and maybe T, so everything else is gone. Cool. Okay. So I'm recording this also on an M1 Mac Mini, aka currently the weakest computer Apple offers, which is also the reason why it is advisable, for me kind of like necessary, to scale this render window down to something that's small, so it doesn't take too long to calculate. But at the same time, now here I can render and I can manipulate and move my light objects around, and then here I can see them. Plus also, since we have, for the rendering, we go to cycles and turn on denoiser on for the viewport. After 5 samples, this kind of noisy image will magically look much softer. So this is actually a super well working approach. Okay. Yeah, actually before we start placing lights in everything, I would suggest, and this is just in general a tip, go to color management and at least maybe turn on a medium to medium high contrast. Because this way then when we place lights and materials while we render, the colors are tone mapped or adjusted. Again, think about like when you take a photo on your smartphone and you go to edit the image or the photo and add filters to it. So we do these filters after we snap the photo. With this turned on, we kind of like applying the filter before or while we take the photo. Just a small tip. Okay, cool. Then let's see, it's all set up. Very good. Those people who have an NVIDIA GTX or RTX, you can set this to GPU. If you have inside system, no, not system. Well, I think here maybe you might see this actually, the CUDA. I don't see it right now because I'm on a Mac. But we can keep this on CPU. And for those who do not have NVIDIA, maybe have an AMD card, well, keep it on CPU too. So you can do the same I do. Okay, enough talk. This is all set. Very good. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, let's get going with the lights. So we will explore how do lights actually work when I put a light inside the space, outside the space, a sunlight, an environment light. How do we approach lighting of interior spaces? And I try to give you very quickly some ideas how this actually would work. And we do this without furniture on purpose. So because the furniture elements will slow everything down. This is also a very good rendering tip. When you work with lights, turn everything off we don't need yet. So we can finalize how to illuminate the space and then we can put all the props in. Okay, so let's turn on the rendering. And here I go to world background and I set this to 0 and I set this to white. Cool. And everything is nice and pitch black because there is literally no light. If I increase a little bit of this value, maybe 3, you see, there's actually something happening. Set this to 1. See, the outside is pretty overexposed, I would say. But think about this as a huge sphere. And our object is inside. So when we zoom in, there you can see light coming in through the windows. That's actually already pretty cool. I would actually say so. And that is also because we have kind of like the architecture which blocks the lights, creates some darker shadow areas, etc. So pretty nice. While this renders, I would like to go to the render settings, light sampling. I'm not going to explain what this light sampling is. And I have something here, fast GI turned on. And I turn this off. You can turn this off if you want. Let me say, what does this do? It makes this rendering a little bit faster, less precise, but faster. And then for final rendering, we always can turn this off. Just a little tip. I will keep this actually on because at one point it will be pretty helpful. You see, it's a little bit more grayish. What does actually GI mean? So GI is like a global illumination. The easiest way to explain what now this means, here, I will turn this off to 0. And then I will take the roof, press H and hide it. We'll take a look at the top. And then here, Shift A, I will add a point light there. And I move this light somewhere into the space. There, very good. Then I will Shift A, add a cube. Bring this cube to here. Very nice. I make then another cube, Shift D and escape. I will press S to scale the cube up, S and X, scale it to this flat and bring it to there. Okay, so let's bring this a little bit closer. And so this light is able to illuminate actually a little bit of the back of this cube. So how does this actually work? So the light emits, well, light, a light ray, and reality would be a photon. This would hit a wall, bounce off, hit a wall, bounce off, hit the wall, bounce off, hit the wall, bounce off. And every time when it bounces, it also loses a little bit of energy. You can see that this is pretty bright. This is not as bright. This is actually pretty dim already. And this is called like global illumination, meaning that we not only calculate how a light can illuminate an object it directly sees, but light rays will bounce off of walls. This means if, for example, this wall, we also make nice and pink, bring this to here. There you can see this is actually colored very vaguely. I will select this light, maybe make it 50, so super bright. Yeah, now it's actually easier to see it there. So this is not reflection, this is just simply this light is white, hits this, and now it's magenta. And then it colorizes this. No? Okay. So it's called actually also color bleeding. So when a light ray hits the surface, it changes the color. So if a light would hit a blue surface, a green surface, the light ray that bounces off is not just white, it's colored. Okay, very good. So essentially that is what this global illumination really does. And also with the bounces, like bong, 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 the amount of bounces. And if we set this to 0, can we? Oh, maybe 0 shows, yeah, 0 is unlimited. Okay, good. There you see now how this is all black. Because it's actually only allowing one bounce. And with more bounces, it gets better. Let's see, even a little bit of light gets to there. Okay, very good. This should not be a PhD lesson about light physics, etc. But I think this hopefully sums this up really well. Why do we have this? This math calculation can be very time intensive, and when we turn this off, then we get a better realism, but this can also take longer based on the scene. So if you have a super fast computer, you might not need this. I will use this actually. Cool. Okay. Beautiful. Let's delete all this stuff and bring the ceiling back. And I will go back to rendered mode. So lights. Let's do a quick run through again what a point light does. So a point light is like, well, a point. So it emits light from the sphere, and wherever we move it, then from there it emits the light. We also have, for example, spotlight, which is quite cool. Spotlights actually work really interesting also on the outside, because then we can create a spotlight onto like a architectural piece or so. Now here the slide actually goes down. We can also R and rotate it, put it up. There we see it. Maybe a little bit stronger. Really nice. Okay. Then we have also sun. So what does the sun actually do? So the sun actually, well, it is working like a sun. A few things which is interesting about the sun. Where the sun actually is doesn't matter. It can even be in or under the house. It doesn't really matter. What the sun, however, really cares about is this angle from the side, because if we look into here, wow, see, that's pretty cool actually. We can define, well, is the sun above us, or is it really kind of like soon night? And then from the top, go to Z, we can change the orientation. Oh, look how beautiful it looks. How brilliant that sun reflection on that wall is. Okay. With the sun, also here's one thing that is really good to know. So this is 1. Not really doing much. with the sun, or the sun is a really strong object. Our eyes really adjust miraculously to see colors very differently. So what we see might not actually really be how the environment is, because our eyes and our brain processes the light information. That's also why we can see dark and bright areas at the same time, while with a camera you can expose for interior or exterior. So dark or bright, but not both. And to make sun really work well, I would always make a sun pretty strong, so it gets this glaring effect. And we can also give the sun a nice color, like to make it nice and warm. Or bluish if you want. I mean, this is just kind of silly, but we could. Okay, cool. By the way, here we are picking a color. You can actually also adjust the color via what's called a black body. I will go here to shader editor. Yes, use nodes. So there's actually now the emission for the slide. Add, and then where's black body? Black. I think it's converter. Yes, black body there. Lock it there in color. And then we can specify the Kelvin. So 5000 is kind of like the sun during midday. 4500, 4000. So you see the light actually gets warmer and warmer. 300, I mean 3000. Yeah. And if we go to 6500, we have the nice light actually of a display, kind of bluish. Okay. I will turn this off. We will simply use the picking this with a color. For the moment, this is actually easier, more intuitive. But if you want to be more precise, this is in the way how you can do this with the sun, or actually with all the lights too. Okay. So we have also the area light. The area light is like a huge rectangular piece. So I will delete actually the slide, Shift A, add a new area light, and I will move this to here and here. Then I would like to rotate my object along the y-axis there, 90 degrees minus. Then I will move this one up. And the technique is we scale the slide as big as the window to simulate kind of like, let's imagine it's a cloudy day, overcast, and we're sitting inside a dome and just white light comes from all directions. So then that's the way how we can do this. So I position the slide and then I scale this till it kind of like matches actually the size of that window. There. Okay, very good. When I zoom into this area, what's actually really nice about this technique is I can get this really close. And then when I give this maybe more light, I put a lot of light onto these architectural elements. And look how cool actually all that window stuff is. It looks very detailed now, but we modeled this. It's just pure cubes. A lot of details we left out, but you see that the simplistic, or not simplistic, the application of simplifying geometry to something that is yet still recognizable really holds a lot of value. Okay, cool. Let's try this out. We will take the roof, then we hide the roof, go to a top view. Here we go to a top view. I press N, select the slide, Shift D, move this to here, R and 90. Now we can see how the light actually comes in. Shift D. Here we have actually two lights, R90. And there I go to this view. Let's quickly scale this. Okay. And I would like to draw attention back again to making duplicates. So object and then duplicate linked. And I click here, or actually it's the shortcut is Alt D and then press Y in this case, and we move this over. Because these two lights are linked, if I select one light and I adjust it, you see each light actually gets modified because they share the same, well, light data. Think about this, these two objects exist, but they only exist one time the description of this light. Okay, very good. So you see this way we can actually make sure light comes in, light does not come in. Very good. Okay. With the sun, for example, if the sun comes from one side and we still would like blue skylight come in from the other side, then actually we can place area lights and put them in. Or if maybe an area is simply too dark and we need to add more light coming in from the outside, these area lights are a very useful technique to artificially bring in soft light. And this again why we use area light, because they are huge light boxes that create soft shadows. And this is something we really want in rendering, like in portrait photography too. No sharp, harsh shadows, soft shadows. Very good. Okay, nice. So all these lights I will actually select for the moment. And because we don't know if we will use them, let's put them into a new collection. There we are. In this collection we call area lights. Outside and turn it off. Very good. Then Shift A, add a sun one more time to here. We will bring back our ceiling, or actually before we bring back the ceiling, we want to take a look at this corner at one point. So here, add a camera. There's the camera, very good. Bring it kind of like to here. Now here we can click onto camera. So now we see everything inside the camera. I have actually border rendering turned on. How do we turn this off? View, shoot. No, view there. Oh, where is this hidden? Okay, border rendering when I'm talking about Control B. Yeah, so Control B, you see there's a small rectangular area and only this will be rendered right now. Control B over the whole camera and then only what's inside the camera is rendered. The stuff on the outside is not rendered. Just a little tip. And then when we go here to camera, scroll down, I also have the password 2 a little bit turned on. We can actually, even if we want to turn this on or keep this off, because the rendering is only happening in the inside. But I find it helps focusing our view. Okay. And if you would like to have compositional guides, we can even turn these on. There. 50, yeah, well, we'll see if 50 is actually good. Let's go into a top view. So Z, then G, I move this around, and then top view, now I rotate this. There we are. Okay, now if we set this to 30, I can see more of the space, but we run into the typical issue of, well, the more I lower this, the more of the space I see, but my focus area gets really tiny and the foreground gets massively, stupidly enlarged. Welcome to the struggle of interior photography. We can put the camera maybe to here and then move the camera up. Camera position. Actually, pay attention to yourself. When you take a photo of a space, are you holding the camera right in front of your eyes? Or do you hold the camera, or your smartphone actually a little bit lower, kind of like on your chest level, and then you look down? That's actually what I do really a lot. So I'm 6 feet 4 inches, which means when I go to item Z, yeah, so 6.6 feet for, let's say 6 feet, because my eyeball's obviously not on top of my head. That seems a little bit high, no? So on purpose, I put this down a little bit. Cool. And don't forget, we also have the vertical shift tool. Okay. Since I'm dealing with the camera here, I would like to do this now so it's covered. I move the camera to the outside. Oh shoot, there's architecture now in my way. Welcome to digital rendering. It doesn't matter. We simply adjust our clip start. There, we're clipping into the space. You see? I will turn on the ceiling so we can actually see it. Why is it actually all now dark? Hold on 1 second. Ceiling, ceiling, ceiling. Oh, yeah, ceiling because there's no light going on there right now. Hold on 1 second. This was a tick confusing. The sunlight I moved to here, and then from the side I rotate it so light comes in, and now I turn on the ceiling. Oh, it's still very dark because, yeah. There, okay, good. I was confused why we didn't really see anything while I was, because it couldn't show anything yet. Okay, back to the camera. So clip start, when I set this to 0, we see from here starting the outside. When we go to the camera and viewport display, yeah, limits. The limits is good. So you see this long line, and that is what the camera can see. So this is a clip start and clip end. This was a very handy tool when computers were very weak. We simply stopped showing stuff that was too far away, but we needed to have in the scene. So maybe 40 feet from the camera is good. But we start clipping. There you see this dot and look into the space. Ching. It's kind of like section view if you want to say, but this is more section view for the camera. So no, the wall that's in front of the camera doesn't matter. We can look into that space. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, I find actually that's pretty good. So now I can freely move around, have the camera actually outside, and I don't have to deal with the issue we only would face when we kind of like decide, well, we have to be inside the space to make the camera. Okay. Be inside the room when we want to place the camera to simulate like how in real life where I would stand. Okay, good. Perfect. So I think we covered most of the light ideas in a quick run through. One thing with the sunlight. So there are extensions literally in every render program. They all have it, where you could, based on your geography, based on what time in the year, what time during the day, it would figure out the correct position of the sun and rotation based on what you set. In this video, I'm not going to show this, but I wanted to point this out. Every render engine really has something like this. And the easiest way now to make sure we are doing something that is correct is, again, study the space where we are. Take photos. Y is actually north. So this is kind of like the way how this starts. So I'm putting the 3D cursor right over the house. So we kind of like faking it a little bit this way. So you see what will happen. So sunrise, and then the sun will rotate around, and then this is sunset. Now obviously it would be lower and go away, and during lunchtime will be really high, and then during morning time it will be really low. Huh? Okay. Now, if you want to do like an architectural study with how light really can flood a room, then something like this is really important to be able to visualize. If we do a nice quick rendering of a space and we want to create a nice mood, then maybe then that's a detail I'm going to skip and actually use more my intuition. When we rotate the sunlight, actually turning on the local and then turning on this really can help, because you can see how I can rotate it around various axes very easily. I'm just resetting it so you can see this. No, this is my one axis, top view, the other axis. There, super easy. So I work actually a lot in a top view and then a side view. And then you can create this really beautiful illuminations and renderings. And look at this, how burning the sunlight there is. I'm repeating this again with the sunlight. It needs to burn. If it doesn't burn, then actually your rendering will be too flat. And that's like one characteristic of sunlights. They are very, very strong. When we go back here to my sun study, even there you will notice something, how the camera struggles capturing this. It's too bright. Our eye can see it. The iPhone as well as the SLR can't really see this by having this all exposed. Also pay attention to how bright is this and there. No? Here now coming more to the evening. Very, very, very bright. There again, kind of glaring. And this actually would be effect when we don't have direct sunlight, but there's light coming in. So this is actually when we would use an area light, because there's just uniform soft light coming through the windows. No? So here's actually now east, west. So you see how there the sunlight comes in, and there's still a little bit of reflection, but not by the sun, but more by the rest of the sky. So left side sunlight, and then these are the area lights. Okay, so let's give this actually quickly a try so you understand how this works. Here for this case, we will move the light actually to there. There we are. Let's see, maybe like this. And now we have actually this open. It shoots light in, so that's kind of bad. What can we do to prevent this? Well, Shift S cursor to world origin, Shift A, plane. Then I will turn on vertex snap. I will rotate this 90 degrees. I typed in 90 and hit enter, and then I move this one to there, move this one to there. Snap this, go into edit mode. I'm using my mouse wheel to scale the interface and edge select. Bring this over, bring this down. A to select everything. Shift D and X, Alt Control, and then this we bring over there. Very good. And then when we go into the space there. Cool. Now you see actually all the sunlight comes in from there, so this is kind of good. But if we take a look into the house from here, there you see that's too dark. Okay, so that's actually what I was talking about. Here now we need to have this piece come in. So a little bit of an area light. So there's my area light. I will move it to here. I know I have these other lights, but I only want to put in 2 lights. So I will rotate this 90 degrees. Also here we will set this to rectangle, go to side view, G, oops, Alt H, I pressed H instead of G. There we are. Whoop. Now we can scale this, move it down. I hope you're not falling asleep. I know this is probably a little bit of a longer video, but this is cool material. Oh, Shift, not Shifty, Alty and Y. No, because this is a clone. And then I will bring these closer. And there you can see already when I get them closer how much more light comes into that space. There we get a nice subtle, see, you can see the subtle reflection here on the wall, which we have there. No? Okay. In top view here, I will select this area light, this one, Shift D. And how much do I have to rotate it? Oh, so minus 90. Okay. Then I bring this one to there. This has to be wider. Very good. Nice and close there. Okay. Yeah, this is actually, as you can see now, pretty decent. So this would be a good idea or setup if you want to have a room where you have one side the sunlight coming in and on the other side the light coming in from the sky. We could obviously also go to here, set this to 1, but now this is so much light that comes in. Maybe this is actually too much light, as you can see. Maybe 0.2 to just brighten this up just a little bit, because no, I don't know. You see, this is pretty dark. So let's see, how does this area actually look? Yeah, no, actually this might be the way how we have to set up with the lights. This might actually be better. So this can literally be really at 0. Now these renderings, the windows will be black, pitch black. That is why we want to go to film and turn this transparent on. This means later when we render this and save as a PNG, this will be transparent. And then we can put a different photo behind. Very good. Cool. Yeah. This looks actually pretty nice. So how do we actually save now light settings? So let's say you meet with a client and quickly they want to say, show me during the night, show me during the day. How can we do variations? So what I would like you to do is in your file, we make a new collection, and then this we will call, shoot, is that dawn? Dust? Evening. I forgot which one is which one. I know the movie From Dusk Till Dawn, but I still haven't memorized which one is which one. Wah, wah. And I'm not really a fresh off the boat person in the US anymore. Cool. And then we can turn actually this off. Or even with this, we turn then actually the rendering also off. It will not be used for the rendering. And then here you go to there too. We could go ahead and name everything properly. So like, for example, the east windows and the north window. For yourself, you might want to do this. In this video, to make this shorter, I will skip this step. Okay, good. Because now it is actually time to show the last type of lighting. We covered point light, we covered spotlight, area light, the sun, also the world, if we just want to really do a quick one. By the way, the world rendering, maybe we do this when we do a top view. It's really nice when we want to do like an orthographic view from the top down, and we take the roof off. When you take a look into the texture folder, you will see there are these interesting images. These are called HDRI, so High Dynamic Range Images. EXR is the format. And what does High Dynamic Range mean? You might not really be able to see this in the image, but there's more color information in these images than actually the display really can show. The iPhone, the Android displays, our computer displays are limited in the amount of colors they can show. But a camera sensor, when making a photo, can capture more colors. And render programs can utilize it. You see how this is quite blown out, but there's actually more detail. And these images can be put 360 degree around an environment. I quickly went back to polyhaven.com just to talk one more time about another detail that's very important when you look for HDRI images. And that's actually here, in this case, it's very well visualized. That's the strength of the captured light. That can be the sun in an outdoor, can be kind of like an area light screen diffuser inside a studio, or can also be how something looks inside a room. This is, for example, very useful when you want to render a chair inside this environment. And the outdoor images are very good for illuminating, well, everything outdoor, but also shooting light through the window into a space. And when we have something that has a sharp shadow here, that basically means this image somewhere has a very strong sun, and we can even use this for our rendering. So let's take a look at how this actually works. I downloaded actually 2 more images to my selection. So here we are. I will switch this to shader editor and then go to the world. Now here's my world. Same here. Z and render, maybe like 0.2. Okay, there we are. Now, instead of white, I would like to use an HDR image. So add texture, environment image, or environment texture. That's what we want to use. There. Open. Texture. By the way, you see this is magenta. That is a warning color that tells you something is missing. Here's our night image. Open. Oh, pretty cool. Yeah, that looks actually quite nice. Maybe one, a little bit stronger. And if I zoom out, there is our image. Pretty nice. We would like to rotate this. We need to give this material the tools for it. So add input. Yes, texture coordinate, I remember. And now we have to add the mapping mode. Thank you. You remember. There and there. And then via the Z value, we can rotate it around. And that actually also will have an impact on the inside. In this case here, not as much because it's a very diffuse rendering. Oh, actually a little bit. Look, that's actually quite nice, the effect we get onto the wall here. We can make this artificially a little bit brighter, but now we send more light into the room by artificially brightening up the night image. We can turn the night image into a morning image, by the way. If the inside looks good, fine, but if we want to see the outside image at the same time, then obviously this might not be really that useful. You also might ask yourself, why do we see this stuff here right now? And I think Blender, I had a recording issue, so I turned this actually off while I was recording. So yeah, you saw this way now. If you turn this off, then you can see this. Very good. Okay. Let's go to another one. It's actually quite interesting. Maybe this one. That is actually really nice. So I set this to 0. It's really strong. A lot of white light and look at the beautiful sunlight, how burning that is. Again, this is kind of like what I meant with the sun. It needs to be strong. If it's too soft, then it will look like fake. It needs to be strong. Also here, now we can rotate this around. And by rotating this image, I'm changing the light. That's actually pretty lovely. What's also really nice about this rendering technique using an environmental image is it's not only sending it a light from one position, it's coming from 360 degrees and all the light is colored. So right now this is more really bright and white because it's a snow surface. No? If we would change this and use this one, for example, now we need to figure out where is that position I was looking for. There we are. There we're getting the sunlight. Okay, very good. Here you can see now this is a little bit more bluish because there are more blue tones in there. And if I use maybe this one here in the evening, there you can see, wow, that's like really nice. End of the day, the reflection here is pretty good. Now you might ask yourself then, well, why should I use actually spotlights and sunlights, etc., when I can do this? Well, if you can find an image that is a perfect match, meaning the slide position, the color, the time of the day, good. But it's actually very difficult to really find an HDR image always for the need you have. And sometimes we want then to modify this. And you can't because it's an image. Which is why it is good actually to know these other lighting techniques too. But actually we can mix them. So for example, in this image here, or version, I can increase this to make the sun stronger, but then I get too much light into that space. That's not what I want. So what I can do now is actually the following. I will simply add another sunlight. So Shift A, sunlight, there we are. And now I just need to be very careful. I just move it here. Then I will rotate it and rotate it. Oh, there we are. I'm getting onto the wall. Zip, bring this up. I might change this environment image so the sunlight actually is easier to see. And a little bit of rotation. There we are. Yeah, that's actually spot on it. Perfect, cool. So I figured out where in this image would be the sun actually coming from. But now we can see this shadow is super sharp. Well, to change this, we can go to the sun object, the properties, and then here we simply change the size. So with a light bulb, so a sphere, we adjust the radius. With an area light, we adjust the surface. And with the sun, well, the sun is really far away. We technically speaking really don't, but we can do this here. So maybe 1, it's getting softer. 2. Now it's actually better. So when we set this to 1, and this actually will nicely blend together. And now I can take the sun light and 3 really blast, and I say blast on purpose, really blast a lot of light into the space. I want stuff to be overexposed. And now zoom out. Now this all looks beautiful. Take a look at this effect without. Now this looks kind of dull. And this looks like a pro was actually at work. But since we are pros, we are not satisfied with whatever is going on here. When we are inside the space from here, okay, that makes sense. Now there are two openings, the light comes in, this rendering looks pretty stellar. But if I want to make a nice composition, this is really irritating. This is dark, this is bright, this is totally drawing attention. So what do? Well, welcome to digital rendering. We're not limited to physics. We make our own physics. So Shift A, make an object, or use the add menu. And then we will rotate this. Snap this to there. There, very good. And edge select there in edit mode, bring this down. There, we close it. Now, obviously, for an interior view, that was kind of, why is this window bordered up? What do you try to hide? Where's the construction problem? But we just want to hide that light coming in. So we, as you can see and all agree, this looks better. We focus actually on the center. Okay, also with the compositional guides, it really helps us to look at these elements. So a little bit of housekeeping. I actually will delete these two elements because I have them already here. It's pretty much the same. I gave this a name, window blocker, made a new collection, put both into there. So I have a morning, an evening, and this now we can call overcast, because this was just the lighting with being overcast. Oh, but now I have this outside stuff. I don't want this. How can I fix this? Let me give you a little trick, or not trick. Let me show you a nice approach to solve different lightings, but for the world. We select these two, Shift D, bring this down. And now this is actually one material definition, and this is a second one. If I click this, look at that. It switches between them. Now when we go and press N, we see the property panel, go to node, label. We can call this HDRI. And this we can call pure white, for example. 0.1, make this softer. Yeah, cool. You see, very useful. I think that's actually a pretty nice trick. The same even applies to materials. We can give one object multiple materials or definitions this way inside one material. Okay, that means we can make a one wall and as a material. So you would only see, for example, one time the brick, but inside here, we could make variations of the brick. So we don't have all the variations here to select. Okay, good. Perfect. So I would say the lighting is done, and it is actually time to pick our morning sunlight there. Very nice. Maybe the sun, I want to give back its strength. There we are. And we fix the floor, and then we will fix the wall, and then we put more stuff into it. Okay. We will very quickly select the interior wall. And when we zoom in here, now there's actually our baseboard and the trim. From a distance, it's a little bit harder to see because also everything has the same material. That's not good. So go to here, interior wall, there we are, new, and then we can call this interior wall material. And a very subtle popular design suggestion, using gray can make everything pop nicely. Look at that. This pops, the trim pops really good. Go to here, We can actually even give different materials. Make this an orange room. So wonderful. Let's say actually we would like multiple materials. So everything is white, but this wall, for example, is colored. How can we do this? That's actually pretty easy. I will go to this view, Shift H. I will hide everything else. Press N. Then I will go into edit mode, face select. Now I select, I will drag this one to here, and I will call this one interior wall white. Thank you. And then I will select the parts where I would like to add a new material to. These are the faces, plus new. Then we can call this interior wall accent color. However you want to do this, naming wise, assign. And now here, if I change this, you see this is what's being adjusted. So we have one object, and we gave each mesh or face selection a specific set of material definitions. Alt H, everything back. There we are. Pretty cool. Yeah. Ooh. I want to start living there. Okay. Let's move this one down. My wife also asked me today, is this our space you're modeling? It's like, no, it's not. Nope, 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 lies. There. I will actually make each one gray so it's easier actually to see. How does this actually look when it's white? Yeah, you see the painting actually, it's not really standing out very good. Let's put this back in. Maybe that's a tick too bright there. I can Control C, copy a color, and then Control V, paste a color. Very good. And this, can bring this down a little bit. If I would be German, I would line this up on top because it needs to be even, but we all know this would look too sterile. There we are. Cool. Okay. So a little bit of adjustment for the color wall really helps reading the space more. The initial color I had was too strong, too grayish, making this too dark. This is actually good, and this makes the trim or the white wood really pop out. Now it's a decision if we want to do the same with this one. So when we go into edit mode, how do we do this actually? Yeah, we'll do it this way. This will be really white, okay, and then the accent color is this gray. So this we will give the interior color white. Thank you. Then we go into edit mode. I will select these two pieces, and these two plus click accent color assign. Very nice. So now we will run into the problem that here everything is actually not white or accent. So I will, if we want to remove the white color, we simply click and this is gone. And now the gray color will be applied to the whole object. There we are. Beautiful. Cool. So now we can not even see that this in reality is another piece that can be lifted up. Pretty cool. Okay. So there's no edge. Now this is also a uniform color. If that would be a wallpaper, we would need to make this one piece. I'm getting off topic again, or not off topic, but I'm putting too much stuff into this lecture. Last piece here for the environment images before we can finally put furniture in. That carpet actually looks really good, but we want to focus on the wood floor. So for the wood floor, let's take a look at the texture we have here. This is actually a really good photo I found online because there's no reflection on it, no highlights, no shadows or anything. And we have really good gaps here and nice black lines. And then here I have two two photos of actually showing an interior space. I don't know where I have these from. So this is in the evening and the sun shines over it. And if you pay attention to, you can see all the ripples here. That's actually because the wooden floor is not perfectly flat. It's actually slightly arced. So this is what these lines here create. And also the strength of the reflectivity. It reflects the bright stuff pretty well. And also here, this is a really good shot because you see the reflectivity and you can see the grooves on the surface really well too. And even here you see the highlights are just on these grooves. So what we're observing here is how reflective actually really is this wooden floor and how smooth is this wooden floor and how strong are is the wood grain inside the reflection. Again, this is just a really big tip I can give everybody, and no matter what type of material, make photos, many photos, and study them. It's like with people who are really good at life drawing. They probably just memorized how stuff has to look, how stuff has to be drawn. And we have essentially to do the same in rendering. Okay, with that stuff done, let me show you now a quick a simplified approach how to make the wood look good. When I zoom in a little bit, well, you see I can't really zoom in. It's a little bit annoying anymore. So I want just to zoom right to there. So I make a copy of this carpet, move it to there, and then because this is a focus point, I can say frame this one. And now I can zoom in more. Beautiful. There. Very good. Come on, frame it. And then I delete it. Sweet. Okay. Beautiful. Turn on the rendering. Z and go up. And I try to go into a view that is actually useful to me. There. Like this. So I see the reflection of the window on the ground here. So this is a beautiful vinyl reproduction of a wooden floor. Obviously, we want this to look like precious hardwood floor. So what do we have to do? We need to adjust the grooves and also the reflectivity. Is this actually too reflective? If we lower this, this is weaker. We make this high and make roughness down. Hey, that is like wood marble. Freshly installed. But way too artificial. And then with the roughness, we give this a little bit of a roughness. Okay. Nah, let's say maybe not too bad. But still, this is too artificial. This looks like a glass plate that's on top because we're missing the grooves. Okay, so this is a colored image and we need to turn this into a black and white image. So we go to add and color and now converter and go RGB to black and white. Flop. There we are. And then Shift A bump. Connect. And connect. Distance 0.1 maybe. 0.01. Something is happening. 0.001. No, because I have actually the denoiser running. A little bit of this effect is being blurred out. So I will Control B and make myself just a small rendering of this area. And then I will go to my render settings, sampling, and turn viewport denoiser off. So this will render more, and oh, there we can see now actually what's happening, no? So looking at this from a being very close, I can much better quickly get an idea of how does this material look like when I would be very close and recreate something till it looks believable. And then I turn the denoiser back on because I know when I zoom out, all these settings are actually correct. Okay, very good. Yeah. So now if we compare this, and we can say, yeah, this actually looks more believable. There's stuff going on. Even when we set the roughness down to 0, now we can see that even better. Talking about roughness, so roughness can actually also change based on what type of wood. You have two types, soft and hardwood in wood. And we need to create a black and white map that actually impacts the roughness. This is also here a black and white map. Black and white map here, there. This is actually how this looks. So, and what we will do now is we go to add and color ramp. Okay, so think about this as a gradient, and we plop this onto it. And then this one I bring over to here, and this I will bring over to there. And you see, I kind of like compress the image. More brighter elements are white, less darker elements are black. There we are. And I will turn this off. I make this material 0. That's actually, that looks pretty cool, to be honest. Black wood. And then this I will put into the roughness. And now there you can see what's going on actually. If we want, we can also disconnect this for the moment to get a better idea. Okay, so what is actually happening here? To summarize this, white is smooth and black is rough. So if I make this down, bring this over. Oh no, actually, it's the opposite, sorry. Black is actually smooth and white is rough. Okay, I think so. Let's actually, hold on. One. Yeah, correct. And the easiest way is just don't listen to me, what I say. Just pay attention to when you slide something here, what's happening. So there we can see, so this is actually in this configuration, nice and reflective. And now something is coming in. And what's coming, oh, here, this is really beautiful. You see actually how we start having rougher areas, and it's mixed with the black areas too, the super reflective areas. I can also move this to the other side. It would be the opposite. There. Okay. So what else can we do? Well, one color is rough, one color is perfectly polished, but the surface is not perfectly polished. Now, when I click on this or this, I can select the color. So when I go to white and lower this, make this black. Okay, definitely black in this case here is actually smooth, which means this black we make brighter. And you notice now how everything gets more blurry there. So, and we do not have the bump mapping turned on, and you just see by how irregular the reflectivity is, you see, whoa, there's something going on. There's a variation. This is not a print. Okay. And then with these two colors, so gray and white, we can specify how reflective this should be. And we can even plop this back in to get the grooves. There we are. 0 to go into the camera, and then we connect this to bring the color back. Alt, what is it? Control B? Yeah, Control B to do a quick rendering. Now from this angle, I'm not sure if I like this effect. Yeah, maybe this is okay. Maybe this will be... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, from different positions, it can look quite different. In the texture I have, I get these really sticking out blocks. So maybe we just go this way, and then we have a uniform roughness, which we can set up here. Okay, good. But we can see on the, because of the bump mapping, that there is something going on. There's a variation, so it's not just a uniform, super smooth glass-like stuff. Okay, very good. Yeah. So we can zoom out, Control B, render this whole piece again, take a look at it, and maybe still too reflective, way too strong. 0.01. Yeah, okay. Super. Okay, let's put the furniture in, finally. I know you waited for it. So having a nice, attractive rendering really comes down to also creating a good story. What do I want to show? What's my focus in the space? What use case do I show? So here I have a selection of furniture elements, which we will use. I will show you with one or two pieces, how I bring the elements over, and then I will pause the video and bring everything over. So we can accelerate this video a little bit. But essentially what I will do is I will take a piece and then drag it into Blender. So here is Blender. I will stop actually the full screen. I will stop also the rendering. I will hide the ceiling. Very good. And I can go into a top view here. This will actually be very useful. Thank you. Maybe a side view. Very good. Wireframes. Very good. And we'll collapse this. Click on this because I want objects to go into here. Maybe I even make a collection and call this furniture. There. And for the snapping, maybe face select already, because we have to move objects up and down too, because we have now a wooden floor that is above the ground floor. Perfect. Then I drag this one over and we can just click and drag. That's one way. And then we don't open, just go append. Then we see this. This is inside the object. And there are all the individual books. We can press A to select all, append. There are my books. So there they are. And I don't know yet. I moved them somewhere to here. Very good. Control B. I want to have this border rendering bigger, or Control B there. The small corner. Next piece. So let's say we use this table here. So there we are. Click and drag. Append. Collection is also just a collection. There's, there's actually my collection with the furniture piece. Can we actually select objects? Oh yeah, we can. Pretty nice. So when I right click select objects, that selects all the elements inside this collection. That's super useful. So here's a little tip. These are individual elements. If you want to make life for yourself easier, I will here right click select objects, then shift click on the tabletop, and then I go object and say parent. Now when I select the tabletop and move this stuff, the rest follows it. So that's going to be making life much easier. I press G in top view, and now, well, now we have that wooden floor. So go up, snap to the face, very good. Go down, hold control, and ooh, shouldn't have said that. Okay, sometimes it works. Most times actually it works. Sometimes it does not. So you see also Blender here can sometimes struggle a little bit. But yeah, so there's a piece. Right. Wrong one. G. Oh, Alt H. Sorry, I pressed the H key. So this one here. G and Z I bring down till it sits kind of slightly over it. We can keep a tiny gap for realism purpose. That's fine. And then, yeah, move it to there. I can also already just here only look through the camera, so you can see how does my environment start stacking up. So there is actually a lamp. Here and there. Okay, so there. Bring this over, append collection here. You bring this in. Where did this one go to? Oh, this actually went into here. So good. Drag this over to there. So we don't want to nest these parts. Right click, select objects. There we are. And then in this view, I bring this over. Wait, why is this actually... Huh, that's interesting. You saw here how this moved a little bit strangely. Shift click. Oh, I'm actually in local here. Turn this off. That sometimes can be annoying there. And then zip. I bring this over. Kind of like over it. Z and wireframe. I can press G. In this case here, I really G a lot. And there we are. From the top, bring this over. This will kind of like sit in there. Now with all these pieces selected, Alt D and X, Alt D, X. So why Alt D? So I just have copies of the object, but only the position and not necessarily X time extra the geometry. Then we can bring in the chair. There we are. This is maybe the last piece I bring in before I pause the video. Append. Collection. There. Nope. Oh, that was the wrong object. Flow. Oh yeah, flow chair. I used the wrong one. Zip. There we are. Append. Where did this one go to? Yeah, I had this collection selected, so it moved it to there. See, I'm resorting everything. And now here, B, select everything. Shift click this, and also here I will say Control P for parenting. Same command I did here. Control P. No, this is very easy. This is my parent. When I move this one up, make sure it really sits on the ground there. Okay, Very nice. Top view. Rotate our 180 and then we position it maybe to there. 0, take a look at it. Okay. Quick rendering. Yeah, it's taking place. Goodie. So we can also go to File, Append, by the way. And I would like to maybe bring in the keyboard and mouse there. Very good. There's all that stuff. Bring this over. Oh. I need to keep in mind that next time when I bring something over, I click this collection as being the active one. Very good. So keyboard and mouse, select objects, G, very good. There, we have to be very busy. Oh, actually it was on the right height. That was interesting. There, plus minus, very good. Okay, perfect. So I will pause actually at this position and bring in all the other stuff, and then we will show how we arrange it. So we are nearly done. I noticed that actually the spun vase model does not have a collection. So what do? We just go to object. And there we have our 3 objects. Append. Very good. Now we can go back to full screen view. Put this to there and take a look, and yeah, college student moved in. Awesome. Okay, so let's have actually some fun to move stuff around. Perfect. So let's take a look at everything what we have here. So I started sorting all that stuff into the collections. Very good. All my books here, all these, in here, press M, new collection. And we call this books. Very good. Thank you. And then here, the vase, we shift click M, new collection, and vase. There. Okay, perfect. Now this doesn't look so bad anymore. And all this goes into there. You see, chum chum. Perfect. A lot of the stuff is also parented. So I have here, for example, this furniture piece. I will move this one under the painting. So in top view, R90. Okay, that is correct. G, and then I move this to there. It should actually be possible with G and then hold Control, snap it onto the wall. But now we have the baseboard below, etc. So this cannot really stand there. So Alt H actually to show that. So here we see, shoot. With the stuff we model, this piece will be pretty far away. Okay. Beautiful. So we have a lot of other funny assets floating around here. These vases, they look pretty cool. We put them right onto there. So I go to side view and Z and wireframe, G, and move them to here. R for rotate, Z axis 90 minus. I can flip it maybe like this. The AT&T symbol, and I move this one down. Top view, so 7, or I click on here and bring this down and center it. Beautiful. And this piece, let's go up. Maybe over the window? I don't know. Maybe flush. We need more breathing space here. Okay, good. So, I put in this piece and a little birdie. There are actually a few lamps. Lamps are pretty fun. So this lamp I will put onto the table there and rotate. Okay, very good. Then this one, I don't know yet really. This is a nice corner lamp. The center point is really unfortunate. So let's fix that. We go into edit mode, Z and wireframe, AA. B, we just select this lower area, Shift S, cursor to selected, tab to leave edit mode, right click and origin to 3D cursor. Now this is better. So top view, we can bring this into a corner and then simply press R there. Beautiful. This share, I don't know yet, maybe this way or this way, who knows? We can figure this out later. Let's have a nice table here. We have a good collection of some... Oh, what's going on here? Oh, render border there. So Control B. We have a nice selection of pieces. So what about this one here? When I press G, is one piece. Yes, it is. Very good. So in top view, go to there, go to there. Press 1 to go into front view. GZ, move this up. GZ, position this onto the ground. 0, take a look. That's a little bit high. Can we maybe make this smaller? Or lower? So I can go into edit mode, AA, point select, B. So what I'm doing right now is really not... The designer probably will hate us for it. But here, I made this a tick smaller. Now, obviously, this is something we should only do if we can also buy the piece in this format. I have a light here. What about this light? G, we put right onto the wall. Also here, that center point is kind of silly. Edit mode, AA, E, maybe top view, B, and select all this. Shift S, cursor to selected, tab, right click there. You will notice at a certain point, all these commands will come very natural. I still remember very well my jewelry professor telling me when I work in 3D, it's like playing piano. And I can't play piano. It's like playing music. Cool. The colors actually are really nice. Maybe we will change the color of this being later red. Let me show you how we do this. So these pieces I don't want right now. So where's that collection? Oh yeah, so who is who actually? Oh, wait. Oh, these are the tables. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. So actually, if we want, we could put these all into a collection. Or actually, I turn these off for the moment. There. Okay. Then I have these stones here. What do we do with these stones? We don't throw them through the window to wake me up because I'm getting really tired now, but we put them onto the table here. We can use these as a book holder, and we have gravity defying books here. So we will select a small stack here. That's the big one. Move it to here. Hold on, I had actually this book piece still selected there. And then I move this one up there. Very good. We have to show that we are smart. There we are. Okay. Let's randomize stuff a little bit. Nothing is more boring than uber perfection. There. Just tiny variation will make it look a little bit more Believable. Oh, they're still floating. G and Z. And then I move this down. Yeah, this looks better. Okay, and then these here. So I have to see. Yeah. That's correct. Very good. So top view here, G. There, front view. Okay, there I need to move them one by one down. That's pretty easy. Actually, what I'm doing here right now, with the furniture piece, we might not even really see because it has a small lip going around. There, and then we have this piece that presses against it, and here, there. Go to top view, B, select everything, B, middle mouse button, deselect this piece, and now we can rotate this, for example, a little bit if we want. Okay. No, actually, this now makes more sense to move to here, and maybe this goes to there. So let's try this out. Undo the rotation. Okay. G, move this to there. AA, B, go over this, go to there, rotate this. Then here we can zip, move this down till this looks actually correct. AA, B, select this, go to here, rotate it, and move this one up. Yeah, now we have to figure out. We need to kick some pieces out. So I will go back to the original piece. I think this actually looked better. And then all those. So here are my books. So there I can see which one are hidden, selected. And then here I click and drag and turn also this off. Click and drag over it. Perfect. Cool. Yeah. Sometimes less is actually really more. This material is nice and dark. Sorry, bright. I want this to be darker base color. Overlay. Where is this piece? Object material. There we are. There we are. Okay. Oh, maybe it's actually this one here. Wait, what I'm select? Oh, I'm I'm working on the legs. I was just curious, why is this not working there? Zip. Yeah, let's make this darker. And this actually goes in line with the chair there. Very good. Okay. Maybe rotating this a little bit. We can move this to there, or are we actually looking out when reading, while reading? Good. We now want to maybe turn on the roof. There it is. Woo! And you see, everything starts to look quite different. And it's actually becoming a really nice evening rendering, or actually it's more morning. Ah, look at this. Beautiful. Few trickeries now. So this cabinet piece was perfectly centered. But is this actually working out in our view? You see here it cuts over the window. As long as we don't see this, well, maybe by moving this further away, I'm opening that space. I'm giving actually the chair more breathing space. Yeah, and I think we can agree on, and this actually looks better. Maybe now I can move this one to here. The light, let's create this a little bit more intimate. This is super crowded. AA to deselect everything. B, select all this. Let's move this over. Now this is maybe better. Now the question is, even with this piece, I press H to quickly hide it. You see now you're not really looking at this element. This stays a little bit in the background. We look more at here. The foreground is not too full. Alt H. I mean, it's not too bad, but it kind of like blocks the window element. Okay, good. So we are actually reaching the end. Last pieces to fix. I noticed the carpet is reflective. It's not a polyester carpet. So no reflectivity. Roughness we can set also to 0. Very good. Perfect. We might want to put some lights under here. So I will set my 3D cursor to somewhere here. Shift A and then area light. The area light we turn into a disk. Very good. And then G, move this down, get closer. Very good. And the size way too big, 0.5 of an inch or 1 inch. Oh, maybe this was actually a 1 foot. Okay, scale this up and we kind of like put this right into it. So this view is good. Now let's go to the top view. G and Y, in my case here, bring this in there. Let's center it. Now we want to have the same light actually here too. So Alt D and an X. Alt D and X. Maybe they can be brought up even a tick more. Yeah. 0.3 inch. 1 inch. Sorry. 3 inch. 4 inch. Okay. And you notice actually they all got the size change. You know, when I play with the value 1, no, look at that, no? So how can we quickly do a night study? So because there we have these lights. So all these 3 lights here, I will select, press M, and now here I say spotlight table. So I know where they are. And here's my collection now for this. Very good. Then this we turn off. Now you remember, hey, we can very easily switch even this out. A and then the frame selected helps to find everything. Yeah, not too bad. Okay, or maybe here AA, select everything, Shift D, move this to there. Well, here we simply open this other texture. Maybe let's go with this one. This was nice and dull. Click on this. Yeah, there we are. That's not too bad. We can do an light also right inside this light fixture there too. So Shift D, I will bring this one down because Shift D, because this is a different light, in my opinion. There. And then we can adjust the scale. Now this is much closer to the table, so it will be brighter. And we can even continue this game. Shift D, go to here. This has to be slightly rotated. I go to this view. There we see where it is and we rotate it. And yes, there's a light bulb in it, but probably not a clear light bulb, but a light bulb that is coded. So it's diffuse light. And look at this beautiful effect there. Cool. That is what I call designing with light. Shift D, N, 0. I want to fix this. I will bring this one to there. I also pressed Shift D. Oh, that's a good question now. Should we make these the same? Then we make an Alt D. If they should be adjusted differently, maybe one is a dimmer, then it's Shift D. So make a clone or individual light. Yeah, look at that. Pretty cool, I would say. So it is actually now 1:17. So for me, that's time to call this is good. We cover really a significant amount of material. This is a really compact and dense lecture. And I think we can continue toying with things like this is still too reflective, I find. Or maybe it's actually also too rough. 0.1. Yeah, no. That is definitely way too reflective. Oh, maybe this is fine. Again, now going back to our reference images. This is maybe why I said make yourself reference images, because you start tinkering later. Because the reflection is super bright there. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So let's call this good. I think we did really well. Good night. No, but not yet, because here is the usual one last thing. I forgot to talk about how can we now set everything up. So when we render different environments, day, night, we don't have objects being visible in various renderings. So I would like to go back to what we have here to explain this. And so this is our main setup, what we see during inside the viewport. I will go to here, so and set this to 50%. So it's a little bit slower. And let's go to sampling. And I think, no, light path, this was it. There, okay. So render bounces for, this is actually not for the final rendering. We can use this faster rendering or turn this off. It's up to you. I keep this on because my computer is a little bit slower. And now for the final rendering, do we want the background transparent or not? Again, up to you. This image looks kind of okay. It's kind of blurry, but in reality, most times these images don't look good. So we want to keep this transparent. Perfect. We also have render management, color management, kind of like set an acceptable way. Very good. So let's do a quick render. No, okay, that's kind of like image 1. And I will press escape for stopping the processing and go to slot 2. No, because no, I would like to do another rendering. So for example, maybe let's say we want to do the morning set here. Beautiful. Okay, so now I have to swap out the HDRI. There we are. Very good. And all these lights here, which are still on, I don't want to be on. So here I have my lights, chair, table, and wall. I gave them all names. And here, this is a trick now. We turn them off. They're not working during rendering. Or since all these 3 lights are in a collection, I can also selectively turn the whole collection off. Okay. Now, and here's also the spotlights on the table. This basically means the same. We can turn the stuff off this way during rendering, and we can still see this during the the viewport. Now the question is, when we turn this off, will this actually turn this whole thing off too? Let's see. Yeah. So the checkbox really fully turns it off. And then this only is for the viewport or the rendering. Okay, very good. Yeah. So this is then basically how you can very easily manage everything. So when you have various render needs, you want to quickly go to different settings. You don't have to hunt elements down to render. And denoiser, yeah, render. Okay, max sample. Set this to maybe 100, 200 based on your computer. I had this set to 4000. That's actually really a lot. That's the reason why my renderings took longer and were still grainy. And then when this is actually getting 100, you will see there it's finished. Okay, beautiful. Now really, good night.